advise her to be mobile. Okay, so that's that. So quickly I'm going to go to the third section, which is the baby section, that looks at the baby and the various variables are considered here. We have the baseline fetal heart rate, we have fetal heart rate deceleration, we have amniotic fluid, we have fetal position, we have caput, and we have mood. Now quickly to the baseline fetal heart rate. Now come to the alert section. Now the paragraph has specifically written out that fetal heart rate less than 110 calls for alert, calls for intervention. Fetal heart rate greater than 160 or equal to 160 calls for intervention. So as you monitor this woman pathographically, you monitor the baby also. And please let's note that you monitor, as you monitor, you document. If you look at the pathograph, you see you can document every 30 minutes. 30 minutes, giving us the colon for 1 hour. Okay, as a monitor, at any time you document against the time. Okay, I've checked, she's 1:30. At 10:30 I'm going to document 1:30. At 30 minutes after that, 11, she's 128 beats per minute. The fetal rate is 128 beats per minute. I'll document 128 beats per minute, like that. Now, at any time you observe it is less than 110, you're going to document against that time and you circle with your red pen. And intervention should be given based on the guideline in the facility you are working with. Okay. Or if it is greater than 160 or equal to 160, you document and do same. Now, assuming the fetal heart rate is ranging between 110 to 159, you document 159 almost. You document your 159, okay, and continue monitoring closely. Okay, so that's that for fetal heart rate. Now go to the fetal heart rate deceleration. The fetal heart rate deceleration. Now, deceleration is just simply a drop in the fetal heart rate. Okay, now there are decelerations that calls for attention. Okay, deceleration could be early deceleration, it could be late deceleration, it could be variable. Okay, so for this session for fetal heart rate, if you come to the alert section, you see an L, and the L here stand for late deceleration. So pathographically, they mentioned that when the deceleration is late, you're going to document L and you intervene. That's an alert. Then you provide intervention, or you call senior staffs and follow your guidelines in your facility for the intervention. Now, if it is an early deceleration, there is no cause for alarm. If it is a variable deceleration, there is no cause for alarm. If it is variable, you just document V. If it is early, you document E. If there is no variable, if there is no deceleration, you document N. But if there is late deceleration, you document L. I know some persons are like, which one is deceleration? It will take me time to start explaining that. But if you're interested in, if you wish to know, just drop your message. Perhaps I'll create a time to go in details to explain. Okay, so that's that for the fetal heart rate deceleration. Okay, let me just say that deceleration is a drop, okay, in the fetal heart rate. Now let's take for those of you who have been in the labor room, before the peak of contractions, if you are using the tourniquet to examine, at some point you observe that there is a reduction. Okay, there's a deceleration in the fetal heart rate. Okay, at some time, at the peak of contraction, some fetal heart rate ceases. If anybody has ever observed that, and immediately there is a drop in the fetal heart rate, it picks up again. So this is what we are talking about when we are talking about the fetal heart rate deceleration. Okay, so we have accelerations, we have decelerations, and for the deceleration, it can be an early deceleration, it can be a late deceleration, it can be variable. So I wouldn't take time to start explaining that. That would be a lecture for another day. So, but to the parts of graph, if it is an L, late deceleration, that calls for alarm, you document. If there is no deceleration, okay, you put in. If there's early deceleration, you document E. If it's variable, that is, it drops and picks up and continue, there is no tachycardia, you document your V. Okay, I hope somebody is following. Any question? If you need my explanation on this, drop your comment below. Okay, so move up to the next one, amniotic fluid. Now, amniotic fluid, when you're charting this, if the membrane is intact on your vaginal examination, you're going to document I. Okay, if it is ruptured, is it blood stained? If it is blood stained, you're going to document B. If it is meconium stained, is it of significance? If it is mild, 1 plus. If it is medium, 2 pluses. If it is thick, 3 pluses. Now, what calls for alert is if the meconium stain is blood stain or thick. So at any point through your monitoring, you observed that the meconium is blood stain, you document your B, circle with your red pen, and intervention should be provided. If it is meconium stain, is it a plus? Is it a 2 plus? Is it a 3 plus? Our concern is 3 plus. That's thick. You call for intervention and you intervene. Okay, we move to the next, fetal position. For fetal position, what calls for intervention is if the position is a posterior, any of the posterior position or transverse position. So as you do your abdominal examination, your vaginal examination, and you observe that it is the fetus in any of the posterior position, you document your P and circle. If the fetus is in any of the anterior position, you document an A. There is no problem, you continue. But if it is a posterior position, you document a P because it's of concern, and you circle your line and you red with your red pen P, and then you know what intervention you should while you monitor the woman in labor. I hope somebody is following. On the other hand, if it is a transverse position, you document a C. Okay, so that's that. And then to caput here, there can either be no caput. If on your vaginal examination there is no caput, you're going to document an N against the time. If at 3:30 I observe there is no caput, I'm going to document an N. If at 5 p.m. I observe and there's caput, how many? Okay, if it is a plus, you document 1 plus. If it is 2 pluses, you document 2 pluses. That's okay. I hope somebody is following me. If it is 2 pluses, you document 2 pluses. If it is 3 pluses, you document 3 pluses, depending on the size of the caput. Okay, so what interests us is 3 pluses. Okay, the same thing goes to molding. For molding, if there is no molding, you document an N. If there is molding, when the sutures are just opposed, okay, sutures are just opposed like this, you document an M. If it is easily reduced, you document a plus. I mean, if it is easily reduced this way, I hope somebody can see me that it can reside, you document 2 pluses. If it is so much that it cannot be reside, 3 pluses. And our where we have to take notice if it is a molding of 3 pluses or a caput of 3 pluses, that calls for intervention. So you document as you go. So I'm going to stop here for today. Summarily, I've talked about the first section. I hope we all understood that. The second section, or the third section, the fetal artery, the baseline is given. For the fetal artery deceleration, I said the nomenclature we are using is L, late, which is of concern, E, early deceleration, no problem, N, no deceleration, or V, variable, no problem. But when it's an L, there is a problem, you intervene. For amniotic fluid, if it is blood stain, you intervene. If it is meconium stain, 3 pluses, you intervene. If it is 1 plus meconium stain, no problem, you put 1 plus. If it is 2 plus, you put 2 plus against the time. If it is clear, you put C. If it is intact, you put I. No problem. For caput and molding, if there is none, you indicate 0. If there is 1 plus, 2 plus. If the caput is much, you put 3 plus. If the molding is unresided, you cannot reside, it's more, you put 3 pluses. So this these are the things you plot as you chart your pathogram. I hope somebody has learned something. If you've got any questions, kindly drop your questions, and please try to subscribe to my page. Just log on to Invest in Erasmus. Subscribe to my page so that when I'm up with any information or any videos like this, you can easily get it. And thank you very much. Hope to see you during the next session of my discussion about the pathogram. And I'd like to say that once the link for the next session with WHO is ready, I'll ensure that I share it with as many. Though it's always